Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very warm welcome. Pakistan is an emerging state for so many years, but there are problems of late. Terrorism is one of them. First it becomes social acceptance, then it evolves narrative, and constitutional is obviously based on that represent the feelings and the passion and the way forward for the people of that country. Then when the constitution is wrong with, then based on that you develop a narrative, and if the narrative gives extreme options or creates something, we call it an extremism, then it ultimately leads to violence, self-violence, inward and outward both. That today we recognize as terrorism. Terrorism is a 360-degree thing. We start very small but end up very big in colossal losses. And now, as we are looking forward to control terrorism in Pakistan, indeed the world is looking forward, there are so many questions which we need to answer, but there are some fundamental questions. How can we visit and look backward, perhaps in anger, to resurrect where we had gone wrong and where the national course of action has gone astray? Today we have invited two very important, eminent and very relevant guests to that. One has an sort of an insight into the constitutional wrongdoing, or where he thinks that the constitution has been dealt with in a wrong way. And the second is a communicator. Through her acting and through her presentation on the stage in front of the camera for so many people. She's a screen face, but obviously she had a talent and she's an artisan. She can express herself and she knows day in and day out she come across the society. Very warm welcome. To my right is Sania Said. Need no introduction. Very popular face in Pakistan and taken as opinion leader. That is the reason she's been casted in so many advertisement, and there is no other reason for casting her advertisement, because the investor and the owner of the franchise think that she is the opinion leader. To her right is Mr. Ahmed Salim, who spent her life in sort of a struggle, which we can well call it struggle from the platform of civil society, different trade unions, and he has also been engaged with the drama group, theatre group called Dastak. Sani has also been engaged with. Sani, I would like to ask you for the basic premise. What is the basic premise of this terrorism and abuse of minority and everything? How the society has evolved over the last few decades or so?
I think that's been quite clear over the years. It's been very gradual. It's been subtle in some ways. It's been quiet. We have seen violence of all kinds. It did not necessarily start with religious intolerance. It started with ethnic intolerance. We saw a lot of violence in Karachi. I'm a Karachiite. In the times that I was growing up in Karachi, it was a very dangerous place, and we were not hearing of religious intolerance at that time. And slowly and gradually it crept into our lives. Television, radio, everything became a voice for it. The newspapers, suddenly the voices changed, the people leading opinions changed, your heroes changed, your songs changed, your films changed. Suddenly we were being told that we are the greatest because we belong to a certain religion. We are better because we belonged to a certain sect. And very slowly we were told, very subtly, sometimes by method of omission, we were shown that we were the only ones existing on this piece of land, and as if there was nobody else. There are no other communities, there are no other kinds of people living in our country. And very slowly I have seen that different languages vanish from your mass mediums. I remember you could get a Sindhi akhbar in Karachi. It you will have to look for it now. You don't hear Sindhi on television unless you switch on to a Sindhi channel.
Do you think there's a reason that Urdu has grown as a lingua franca too much?
That it would, of course, the one language would to connect all the languages. But I think that is how it should have been, but not at the cost
of the
regional languages
and diversity.
The diversity, the beauty of their individuality. That should not have been the cost. I studied at the St. Joseph's Convent. All my education I owe to the Christian community. I owe to the nuns. My teachers were Parsis, they were Hindus. My classmates were Parsis and Hindus. They have all left the country. They were my friends. They were people I shared my childhood with. In some ways, I've lost my childhood because the people are not there anymore. They were my childhood. They're not there anymore. I see that most of the buildings are not there anymore. You see.
So the architectural landscape has changed.
Architectural landscape is changing. So
perhaps that's slowly, because of greed. No.
No, and I think also because it's very conscious. You see a lot of madrasas and mosques, but you don't see the old mandirs anymore. They're there, I'm sure, but they're hidden, or they're somewhere
behind the opulence, I would say.
And they would much rather stay there than be conspicuous because it's a matter of security. So I think it's been very gradual, it's been very subtle, it has crept into our lives.
But it's very thorough.
I think it's very well thought out.
Very thought out. So you believe there's a method in the madness?
I think so.
You believe so?
Absolutely.
Salim sir, the constitution has certain amendments. It was not like that. Pakistan was, if we go to 1948 to 47, the speeches of Qaid, where he declared that everyone is equal and it's country for everyone. Now we see constitution, there were certain amendments declaring people non-Muslim and other things like blasphemy laws. Do you think, what is that? How would you comment on that?
It did not start abruptly. It, as Sania said, it is a gradual process. And even from 47, 48, there were some elements who were trying to counter Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah even in his lifetime. And they were...
With narrative.
The narrative was that Pakistan was created in the name of Islam, so it is for the Muslims only.
All right.
That was the narrative, and that was developed through media, through textbooks,
syllabus.
Yes, educational materials. Then through so many other things, cultural expressions. Even radio was state controlled in the early days. So all these things made some impact on the minds of common people, and they thought that okay, they had no issue before 47 with their fellow religious people, for example, from other religions. But when these issues came in, for example, after the death of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, in 1949, there was Assembly passed an objective resolution. Right. And it in fact divided Muslims and non-Muslims in Pakistan. So we were divided in not only two, but in so many parts. Right. Muslim and Christian, Muslim and Hindus. And we had a legacy of anti-Hindu feeling during our
But
freedom
this terrorism
movement.
is not because of the anti-Hindu feeling.
I can say...
It is within the sects.
No, it is within the sects. And
the constitution, what the constitution at the state level contained in it.
But these things were put in the constitution. For example, there was the 22 points of ulama in very early days of Pakistan. So those 22 points said that you can't make any law which is not according to Islam and Muslims. Right. So that was the premises they set.
But if we just look at closely, there should be no law which is repugnant to the injunction of Islam. And it's as it comes to the state, Islam is very secular. Islam is not bothered if you go to the first state. Islam is not bothered. Do you think what I'm saying is correct?
No, that is correct. But when we
so even if we adopt objective resolution, even then a Muslim state would be very secular.
It made quite difference. It created difference and division among the people, because Islamic constitution means that you are not accepting non-Muslim population, although they are 4 to 5% only. In those days they were almost 25%, because East Pakistan was part of this country. So in that context, we from the very first day created that division, which developed in so many processes, through education, through media and through other manifestations. And when this 73 constitution was passed, it claims that all citizens of Pakistan are equal. But there are a lot of contradictions in that constitution. From very first day, you accept that non-Muslims are a different communities and you make discrimination with them, not only in constitution but in society as well. So all these things which came, you are talking about Second Amendment. It was done in 1974. It was period of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, which today we think and we even claim that he was a secular person and he created so many institutions, secular institutions, art and culture and development and so many things. But that foundation, that this is the Islamic constitution, and when you say you contradict your own constitution that no non-Muslim can become President of Pakistan or Prime Minister of Pakistan. So at one place you say that all citizens are equal, but you are not trying to allow them to have that opportunity to rule the country. So in that context, I think these things gradually developed, and then when we started the issue of jihad in Ziaul Haq period, it was in fact developed in a huge size, and we thought that communism is a bad thing and we fought against Soviet Union.
Right. So there are two issues. One is the popular narrative, which Sani is talking about, and the other is what the Constitution today, as of today, contains in it. And on both these fronts, there should be rethinking to develop a counter narrative, as nowadays, National Action Plan and all these are saying, to save this country. You are in fact the word from the menace of terrorism. So we'll discuss further. Here we take a break, and after the break we'll try to further analyze these two things. So please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
Welcome back. Would you like to, once again, I will start from you and then I'll like to chip her in. What do you think this jihad, currently this terrorism, if we come close to this now, started in 1977-78 when
Afghanistan
PNA movement started against Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, and Soviets occupied Afghanistan, and at the same time Raza Shah Pahlavi was thrown out of Iran in 79, and then these jihadi elements, and to fight against the Soviet Union, other superpower thought that it's necessary to create a cult. And that is the cult of the religion, which was created in the name of Islam, which has nothing to do with Islam. And today that cult has, now the genie is out of the bottle. Do you think?
Yes,
And we see further, the syllabus here was written in the University of Nebraska
in US.
in USA and
Yes.
imported here, and now a kafir and everything, all that narrative was written in the university.
We read in textbook that 2 plus 2 are 4 guns.
4 guns.
Not 4 breads. Now we say 2 and 2 plus 2 equal to 4 flowers.
4 roses.
So that is the narrative that changed according to the need of superpowers and our own rulers who are working on their agenda in Pakistan. So I can say that this jihad has nothing to do with the common people of Pakistan. They were not interested whether Soviet Union is going on under the communist rule. They had no problem with it. Rather, they had to compare sometimes that, okay, there is equality, there is social justice, there is peace, and there is a peace movement and all that. So in that context, when this issue started, anti-Soviet campaign under the name of jihad, we never thought that we are going to fight a proxy war, and it will one day will come that we will be suffering from it ourselves.
Yeah, that goes around, comes around.
So it is now we are facing that terrorism, and it was created. Now the people and the forces who are fighting against this terrorism, they themselves created them.
Right.
So that is a very big issue, and I remember a Urdu verse, and we are in fact victim of that verse, that मेरे वतन की मुक़द्दस जबीं पे लिखा है, जो चीज़ टूट के बनती है टूट जाती है. We were divided in 1947, and then there are further divisions on religious basis, on ethnic basis, and so many other things.
The unfortunate thing is that now even they are not learning from the lesson. The same thing is being repeated in India as well. Yes. They are also started. I don't know why they should have learned the lesson. But Sunny, do you every now and then, every day, you come across people in front of them, you have to perform them, you meet them, and you can even, they see you and you can gauge their expression, and that is, if we take you as a barometer, social barometer, what do you think? Now the mood is once again changing, and now the time has come that now, they are reverting back to the right one?
I'm a little confused about our people.
Right.
And I'm a little bewildered by their brilliance and their resilience.
Right.
I love them. They're fantastic people. They live and they survive this.
And perform.
And they get through life. It's just fantastic. Only we can do it. So therefore, I have myself concluded that it will be very difficult to finish us off. It's very difficult to kill us off because we know how to survive.
Or even right
now in Islamabad, there is no gas, no bijli, and this cold, we are surviving, right? We're eating and living, and so, God knows where we find
I understand the last night was very tough for her.
It is. It was. But you see, despite the fear, this constant fear that we might cave into this media bombardment and this new old and new narrative and the contradiction and the conflict, and despite that fact, I see that people still do not support an extremist voice. They always vote them out. They always even though that you will see, it's very confusing. Even though that you will see a lot of more abaya-clad women on the street, but you will see more women on the street, and you will see more women in the mainstream working. That's a contradiction. It's a confusion.
The most amazing thing what I see is that they are abaya, but here they are abaya, but down there, like any other Westerner. skin-tight jeans and blouses and everything.
Exactly. So there's this. I think
it is amazing.
It's a big confusing mix of fashion and looking for an identity, trying to find their own feet. I see now women struggling much more, coming out much more, despite the fact that they have lesser opportunities for education, and they have to struggle more for jobs, for their own businesses, maybe for their economic independence. I see them struggling more. I see them being more vocal, despite the fact that your media is constantly throwing at their faces stereotypes. It's reimbursing rhetoric, but they're in their own very strange way, they're fighting it unknowingly. So
and so are the men.
And so are the men. The men are also changing,
Yeah.
and that's very, very
Promising.
Now, this is my feeling that no matter what the narrative of your power elite is, the people will always develop their own narrative, whatever is necessary for survival. Now, right now, for their survival, education, their health, to facilitate their communication with people, it is important. And unknowingly, knowingly sometimes, on a very small scale, they've already started doing that.
Right.
They've started taking initiatives.
Right.
So, despite all this confusion, I think it is settling. It will eventually settle, and people will understand their situation.
That it was elite capture.
Sorry?
That it was elite capture.
And also that it does not serve them.
Yeah, no, elite capture.
It's the most important thing for our people, I feel, to understand is that where am I placed in this power play?
Right.
When these forces are fighting, where am I? Who's thinking about me? Who's doing what
and
for
like
me?
a few.
Exactly. And what is it that the general public, the masses, the bigger chunk of population is achieving from this?
Right.
So I think that is something that they need to look at.
Right.
That is not something that I can say that it is coming out as a great big movement, not yet. But I think it will, because there is no other way.
So this nation is not giving up, and also it is not giving in.
It's not giving. I don't think it is.
It's not giving in. It's not giving up.
Yeah.
But Salim Saab, there are, as she rightly said, elite capture. There's an elite sitting in very white building in the parliament. They are also determined. They are not giving up. They are not giving in to the capture they are enjoying to their benefit.
I think that
And the constitution is with them. And
that's why it is great need of time that we should rethink, and we need structural amendments in our constitution.
right.
First of all, we should declare that religion has nothing to do with the state and
Affairs of
with
state.
the affairs of the state. In
Right.
education particularly, in other social themes particularly, but especially if you can't do such amendment, at least education should be get rid of
Right.
these things.
So here we take another break, and after the break we'll further analyze that and try to synthesize some sort of a conclusion as a way forward for them. So please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
Welcome back. Just connecting from where we
Yes.
were talking about, you said that state should have nothing to do. State should have nothing to do with the religion. And but can it still be Islamic State? And is Islamic State is a secular state? Are you saying that?
There is Malaysia, there is Indonesia, there are many other Muslim countries who never claimed that non-Muslims cannot become.
No. Even if we forget about the top positions, declaring a state, the state has nothing to do with the religion. State has no religion. Meaning
Rather,
by
religion has nothing to do with the state
with the
affairs.
state, one and the same thing, vice versa, in the both ways. But are you trying to say that Islam is secular?
I am not trying to say that. I say that Islam is for me, Hinduism for a Hindu, Christianity is for a Christian person, and that should be freedom, total freedom, and that is only in the words and in the constitutional clauses, but not in practice, number one. Number two, there are certain laws which are totally discriminatory. For example, blasphemy law. Its practice is very dangerous, and for last many years our nation is suffering from that issue. Then it is now grown up so big that within Muslim community we are now discriminating other sects of Islam even. For example, you will be very much aware about the issue of Hazara community in Balochistan.
Yeah, they're killed because of sectarian.
Yes,
basis.
they are Shia in faith. So there are many other communities. For example, there are Ismailis, and
Qaid-e-Azam was an Ismaili.
And last year, what happened to the Ismaili people
Safura town.
in a bus, Safura town. Similarly, there are in Balochistan there are other communities. In these very small community in Kailash Valley, these Kafir people. So
the forced conversions.
yes, forced conversion and forced marriages, and our population from Balochistan and Sindh, Hindu community is leaving Pakistan for India, and that is very sad because they have nothing to do in India, because they don't belong to India. They belong to Sindh, they belong to Mithi, they belong to Tharparkar.
People of the soil.
People of the soil, and they never thought to go from Pakistan. But this forced conversion issue has compelled them
pushing
to do
them
that.
away.
So first of all, the state should come up with the civil society, and both should struggle and strive that there should be I won't use the word secular. There should be a tolerant society, at least for each other, and there should be.
Do you think secular does not mean atheist?
I don't think so.
You think so?
Yes.
Then what you're saying is absolutely that you're saying that it should be secular.
But few people are very allergic to this.
Secular is not a-religious.
No, people are allergic to this term,
All right.
and they misinterpret it.
For the fear of misinterpretation.
Our great scholar Sibte Hasan has written, "Secularism kya hai?"
Right.
He has a small article, and that is with great clarity you will understand the whole thing.
Yeah, Sanish, he has said few things. What do you think? Because, I mean, if he's the mind, you are the face of the society. How that face should be presented, and what changes in presentation, in art and form, the way the people mix up and everything.
God, our wit was taught that.
Yeah.
When Japes, should I take out the long list? It's a never-ending list. But there is so much to be done. There is so much to be done. Everything has to be. I think that there have to be very small steps, but
Baby
a lot
steps,
has to be.
but
A lot has to be restructured.
right.
This kind of constant influence of religion, constant discussion on religion. Anytime I switch on television, on radio, the discussion is religion,
Because
as if nothing else is happening in the world.
Because it's killing you.
Also because
It's a matter of life, and they are killing you in the name of religion.
no, but you see, that's not the only thing that is being discussed. Now you are selling that also, because it sells really well. If the discussion program is such that is dealing with religious matters, it gets more advertising. That's a fact. People who portray themselves as religious people get are more popular. They get to sell perfumes and clothes and designer wear and everything. Your heroes have your faces. The frontline people have completely changed. They are not scholars in it.
Junaid was
They are not scholars anymore. They are showmen.
Yeah, they're
You know,
showmen.
even if you're putting, people can agree with him, disagree with him.
That is the key word.
Even
They're
if you're putting,
they're show people.
even if you're putting Ghamdi Sahab as your religious scholar, look at him and look at the other showman. I
Yeah,
mean,
showman,
can you not see the difference?
And he can't continue here.
And he can't, you see. So again, because that one man is talking about tolerance, even if you're talking in terms of in terms of religion, which I do not want to use, because I don't want to use the reference of religion. I think it is this overt use. Anytime you put one status on Facebook and people retaliate with so much religious
Abuse
rhetoric,
religious
rhetoric, unnecessary. Can you speak your mind? What are you thinking? What is your opinion? You have put them in a box where they are scared to get out of it and think.
Right.
Because of the fear that
they will lose their business.
They will lose their identity. They will lose their security of being a Muslim, and this is both internal as well. They're internally scared whether or not I will be a Muslim if I don't behave like this.
Right.
So there is, over the years, when it's
so
not.
there is fear and confusion both.
Yes, and when you say the constitution has these changes, it is not just words that were changed in the constitution. This is what has affected all this. This is what has made all this happen. Today, if I kill somebody in the name of blasphemy, nobody is going to ask me anything. It's something that was written there. Now I can kill anybody and nothing's going to happen. So, and that is not even Islam, by the way.
Yeah,
So, when you allow something like that to happen, then you have no other voices coming out from anywhere. I think that is the most dangerous thing.
Right.
When there is no other voice.
Right. Thank you very much for being in the program, and the conclusion is that now it is out of hand and something has to be done. And before we finish it, very interesting, yesterday one of the candidates struggling for nomination from the platform of Republican Party was saying that it doesn't matter if I kill someone in the debate. And another person who had been a federal minister in India, and he was saying, ex-federal minister and a big person, party stalwart, he was saying that we should do what it means to be in Pakistan and do all these things in Pakistan. So I think that now it is not Pakistan only, it is happening at other places as well. So I think it's the time that it would be controlled.
You see, that's the mistake we made initially also. We said, oh, this is what is happening there.
Everywhere.
Some other countries coming into some other country to do. We were not thinking about, we could have just saved our borders, protected our borders. We did not have to go there and,
And try to reform them.
Or not get involved with their
war.
war.
Not involved with. So, thank you very much for being on the program. And without doing any sort of commentary on this synthesis, I get permission to leave. Thank you very much for being with us. So keep watching our program.